The new Age of Reckoning is completely flawed and it's fully broken, but not for the good reasons. Basically, right now, I'm going to showcase exactly what is broken about the Age of Reckoning so you can avoid doing it in your own campaigns until CA fixes this. So as you can see, my current grudges that I need to get up to is 2,600 within the current Age of Reckoning. And keep in mind, the amount of grudges you're going to require is relative to how many factions you currently know. So as you can see, I know a reasonable amount of these factions, and depending on how evil they are and how much they annoy the dwarves, shame your ancestors, this will mean that the grudges and the total amount of grudges will increase. I've skipped ahead slightly because I'm taking these settlements, but what I'm going to start doing is send my runesmith off on his merry adventure to try and figure out and find more factions, just so we can prove that this really does scale up massively. So I'm basically going to get myself into a situation where I've captured enough settlements to confederate the minor faction as well. As you can see, Karakazul. So we need 3 more settlements until we can do that. But I want to showcase you something else that's broken about it. So we'll jump into that. So here's the other thing I wanted to demonstrate. As you can see within the Legendary Lords tab, we have a confederation of all the Legendary Lords specifically. And you can see here that to confederate this faction, I need to get 16,608 total amount of grudges settled to confederate Belagar, and obviously depending on how many grudges they have, it's plus 15,000 of the number they've got. So as you can see, it will vary depending on the faction and the Legendary Lord in question. So what we're going to go ahead and do is take Lamia, and as you can see, we're going to jump in, and a pop-up will come up for us to confederate Karakazul. So sure, we'll go ahead and confederate Karakazul, and then what I'm going to do now is just jump over to the button. Sorry, I shouldn't have clicked all of them. Jump over to the Legendary Lords, and now all of a sudden we've got up to 31,608. So this will keep on scaling by 15,000 for every single minor faction of the dwarves that you confederate. So you are kind of being punished for just playing the game normally. And as you can see, it's up to 31,000 for Grombrindle. And realistically, that is not something I can achieve in a reasonable time frame. Because then, obviously, once you do one of the Legendary Lords, then obviously the rest of them get increased in price as well. So what we're going to do as well is with the quest with this quest, we're going to teleport over here. We're not going to do it just because we want to meet more factions. And right now it's turn 10, and we have 2,600 of them. Grudges that we need here. So we'll move over this side, and obviously we've met a lot more factions now, so it wasn't a reasonably amazing Age of Reckoning, but I'm just trying to demonstrate and showcase this one. So we also have everything around Karakazul as well, so if this guy can jump over here, why not? See more folks. So yeah, we're now on 2,600, so let's go ahead and end the turn and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the new Age of Reckoning because it's my turn again. And now I have up to 7,100 grudges that I'm requiring. So it is more than tripled, which is kind of crazy to me that I'm now requiring to get 7,100 grudges, and it doesn't exactly seem very realistic for me to be able to achieve this. So just to demonstrate a stream run I was doing, this is turn 22. And right now I have 23,100 grudges that I require. In total, in that 22 turns, I've only done 10,000. So it's asking me to basically triple the number of grudges in which I have done in total in the campaign to do the Age of Reckoning. So right now, one of the really weird things is you're being punished for confederating minor settlement factions, because as we know, the cost is massively increased for the Legendary Lords, and once you confederate one of the Legendary Lords, the rest of them will increase as total as well. And right now I can understand the elements of the Age of Reckoning shouldn't be able to 100% it every turn. That, it's very, very powerful, the free armor you get, and it's really, really awesome. But it also feels bad at the same time, going from 2,300 to 7,000 odd to 23,000 odd. That is just near enough impossible, and it's tripling every time. So I think there definitely needs to be something that is shifted and changed here, because you can't expect the player to get 23,000 grudges turn 22. There is not enough, there's a lot of grudges for the dwarves, don't get me wrong. The dwarves do love the grudges, but that is just too much. It is not realistic for the player, and I wanted to make this as a warning to anybody that's excited to play the dwarves. Be careful with the quest battles you do. Be careful with the confederations you do, because you ultimately are going to be punished within the Age of Reckoning system. I just wanted to showcase this as well, because obviously this is across the board for all the dwarves. Grombrindle has a 3,000 grudge requirement, and obviously Thoric has the 2,600. So, like we said, there is a variable that is causing the grudges to increase, and obviously there's a lot of enemies that Grombrindle is surrounded by to begin with. And one of the really unfortunate things for Grombrindle specifically is you have quest battles that are in the Empire. So if I jump over here, and then all of a sudden, I have visibility of everything around this area now. I've met so many more factions as part of me doing that it's, pretty damn difficult to avoid it. And so if we were in a situation now where as well we declared war on factions that were really far away for a lot of money, which is it's a reasonable strategy to do. It is a good thing to do. If they're miles away, you don't have to worry about them. Declare war on them. But obviously, as part of, knowing more factions and finding more factions, you get punished for it. But what we're going to do is showcase the spike that we're going to have specifically for the Age of Reckoning of Grombrindle. Because if we do have grudges in the Empire area specifically, excluding the ones we've just declared war on, look, we're already getting 205 grudges over there. And you can see around the area 130. There is a lot of settlements around my area that would technically give me grudges. And Grombrindle is, obviously, he resurrected out of pure anger and spite, but he can only be one man. And you can't, as the dwarves, afford 2 armies, typically speaking. So it's really difficult to actually enable him to get all the grudges that he requires and do the quest battles and do the confederations. So it's gone all the way up to 7,700. But here's the kicker. Right? On the next Age of Reckoning is when it gets even worse, because that's when it adds the amplifications of scaling, because each Age of Reckoning additionally obviously requires a significant amount more grudges. So just for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and do that as well, so you can see the massive scaling that's going to happen for the grudges and how it's just not a good design and how it's unrealistic expectation of the player to get this amount of grudges in your campaign. I just want to make a note, this is currently me trying my very best to do all the grudges that I've been given. I am killing everything that I can that is nearby to me. I've even created a secondary army. I'm doing generally everything that I can to try and get towards the grudges here, and I'm still most likely going to get debuffs, right? I'm most likely not going to be able to get over the threshold of 49%. Hopefully I can get over 24%, because otherwise it's going to be insane debuffs across all the boards here. It's because there is so many grudges over in the Empire, like 449. There's so much grudges going on over the Empire, and this would just happen without me being at war with them. It's just they are somebody that does more grudges against the dwarves, typically speaking. Even though the high elves, at least, and I should have quite a lot because he's a filthy knife here, but I'm trying my best here, and it's just not enough. I'm not doing enough to kill and get the Age of Reckoning percentage that I need. Even using the free army that I was given to try and kill the Skaven at the same time. So I'm quite literally expanding in 3 specific areas. I have 3 armies conquesting stuff, and I'm trying everything I can do to get more Age of Reckoning. But let's go ahead and see what the number goes up to and what percentage we actually obtain. So we managed to get to 37%. And that was genuinely min-maxing my movements, using multiple armies to take multiple settlements. As you can see, I took all the settlements from the High Elves of Alethenar over here. We murdered all these settlements over this side. And within the system that exists currently, I got 37%, and I took out the Skaven as well at the same time. So like I said, we used 3 armies to try and expand as fast as I can. And yeah, this is all that I had, all I was able to achieve, which was 37%. And as we see, if I were to have taken, Corsul or the original Black Pit, that would have been more than enough. It would probably have equaled more settlements here than it would have done just for that one over there. It definitely should be relative to the player, because, 310 grudges all the way over the Empire is more grudges than I've seen for any of the settlements within my location and around the area that I'm in. Apart from this one, actually, because they're a nearby greenskin, which actually is good to know. So it's one of those things where I'm not going to be able to sail across the sea to go take that settlement. And now what's happened, which is something that's really interesting, the total amount of grudges actually decreased to 5,700. But as part of me trying to expand to get a Age of Reckoning, I'm sort of, tripping over my own feet here. Because yes, I now have less grudges in total, but it's still the total amount of grudges that I've done in 21 turns. So I'm basically having to do that, but in 10 turns instead of 21 turns. So yeah, I definitely think it needs to be relative to where the player's location starts. For example, we might be able to see, if we do Fog of War off, and then we check out what Vlad's doing. What's the grudges Vlad has? The 334. So you can see a lot of the settlements around the area are giving us quite a lot of grudges alongside Kemmler as well. There's so many more grudges in the Empire and away from where I'm actually realistically able to get it. But yeah, just wanted to give this warning and wanted to give the demonstrations and use cases so you guys could actually see what is happening with the Age of Reckoning. So when you get the opportunity to play it on the 30th, you will not be falling into these traps. By all means, if you want to do this, I just wanted to make sure you're armed with all the information that you need. But thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Make sure to check out my other content on the screen now.